Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have a guest today. This is my husband Joe.
How's it going?
We are going to film a video today, as you know, because you've already clicked on it. We're going to film 5 things that we both love about Japan.
Right.
Things that are different from where we lived in Maryland to how they're different here. So, are you ready to get started?
Yes.
Okay, so number 1 is when you go to a restaurant and you get your bill at the end, usually pay up front. But what don't you have to do?
The thing you don't have to do that you expect to do in pretty much every major American restaurant is you do not have to leave a tip.
Yep.
There's no expectation of doing that. In fact, some people I've seen actually will attempt to tip a Japanese waiter or waitress, and they will not accept it.
Nope.
It's kind of shameful. It's a shameful situation for them to even be confronted with that decision. They will not accept it.
If you try to tip a Japanese server, they will just very politely say no thank you, and they will just not take it at all, and they will just like politely walk away. So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the one thought that I think a lot of you would have is, well, you know, to what standards are they really being held accountable to? If they're not being tipped, might it mean that they kind of just don't care, or they do the bare minimum that it takes to get by? But actually what we have found is that the service is not suffering at all, and in fact, on a general basis, the level of service is stronger than you would experience in America, even when the American employee knows that he or she is working for a tip later on. Yep,
the service is really good, and so when they're at your table, they're extremely polite. They're very attentive to your needs. They read your order back to you. But when they're not at your table, it's very different about, you know, how you get their attention. In America, servers will just, as soon as your food comes, how is it? And you haven't even taken a bite yet, so you don't really know how your food is yet.
I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. Come back in a couple minutes. But in Japan, they will bring your food out to you and usually hand you your bill once all your food comes out, and then they will just walk away. And if you need something, typically at a lot of restaurants we've been at, they usually have a little button on the table. So if you need service, like if they haven't refilled your water in a while, which usually there's a pitcher on your table.
Yeah, that's another thing really we should mention, is that a lot of these places come with like free self-serve water, and it's in an area either on your table or near the table, to where you kind of are expected to help yourself with that. And most Japanese will be fine drinking water at most of these places, so they're not really ordering a ton of other drinks always. So that water is just something that you keep up with. So what the waiter or waitress is doing is kind of like a half like expo or food runner type of role, where they're bringing food out, but then once the food's out, they're not really terribly concerned that you would necessarily need anything else. So they're not constantly probing your table for information, like checking on you, making sure everything's good, like every 5 minutes, which some people in America I think would like that, and then some people are annoyed by that. So it's just something we wanted to talk about, that it's different in Japan in the sense that they just generally leave you alone. Unless,
which is really nice. Unless you call them over. You have a button, you press the button, or if there's no button, you yell across the restaurant, which I'm still not okay with. I still don't like doing it. But you yell, excuse me.
Raise your voice a little bit, you know, say their word for excuse me, and they'll come over. That's, to me, in America, that would be a little bit rude. Like if you were kind of trying to talk over a number of other tables to try to find your waiter's attention, like that's sort of like, by that point the presumption is, oh, I'm already kind of angry about something. I don't think like that person was attentive enough. But in Japan, like if you're calling them over, it just means that you had something unique come up that the average person wouldn't really need, and you're calling their attention back over, and it's not considered like you're already mad about something. It's just that they're not coming over to you so often. So you are going to call them from them handling their other duties. You are going to have to get their attention either via the button, which will just chime in their back room somewhere, and they'll understand like, oh, there's a table that needs my help.
And they'll like yell from the back, I'm coming.
I'm coming over there. Just give me a second.
So it's nice that
that's considered normal here.
Yeah, it's nice that they're not constantly bugging you. They're not always trying to upsell you either. Like in the States, you know, they come back to the table. So, we ready for dessert? And it's like, no, I don't want dessert.
That's a great point too. They generally expect, and like when you say your order, like they're going to ask you like, hey, was that everything? Are you done? And generally you're not expected to like they're not going to solicit you for other things. Now you can certainly inform them later if you want to order something else.
The button again.
But probably they've already given you a receipt, so now you've got a second receipt, and you're just going to have to pay both of them.
Which is fine. Like we went to eat at Caesarea, and there was which is like a pasta Italian place.
Yeah, pizza.
There was a huge group of kids near us, and they were just constantly pressing the button and reordering food. So I'm sure like each kid had a few receipts of their own. You know, they've got their pasta, and then a snack, and then a dessert, and they've got like tons of receipts, but that's totally normal here. That's not a weird thing.
Yeah. One thing that is something that I think Americans would have a hard time getting used to is, in America you order a soda or a tea.
Right.
Or any sort of drink.
And you get those free refills.
Any sort of soft drink. You expect, like, look, I'm paying the price, and no matter how many times I refill it, that's why the server's constantly coming over. They're seeing if I need to get it refilled, and I pay one price for that. So whether I have one glass or 7 glasses, I pay one price for that.
Right.
In Japan, there's kind of 2 worlds to that. World 1 is that a lot of places do not offer any setup like that to where they only will get you 1 glass of something. So the price you see, you get 1 glass of it. If you want another one, you will be charged for the second one. You want another one, you'll be charged for the third one.
And number 2
is that some places offer like an all-you-can-eat or all-you-can-drink setup for a limited amount of time.
Like a drink bar, and it's like a couple of soda machines, and you just get up from your table, you go get your drink, and usually the cups are pretty small. You go get your drink, you come back, and you can refill it as much as you want.
Right.
And I guess they assume guests aren't going to abuse that and just sit there for hours and hours drinking soda and tea and coffee and whatever.
Yeah, I think it's the honor system there, and I doubt they have issues that often with it.
Right.
So very different than the U.S., but like what we have found is that there's some things we really like about that setup, and then some things that you miss, like specifically the hey, I can't get 7 Sprites for $2.49 anymore or whatever. Like those days are over.
Iced tea for you.
Right. Those days are over unless you find a place that has what they call a drink bar, which, again, they use the word bar not in an alcoholic sense.
Right.
They mean it purely as it's like a self-serve situation where you are paying one flat rate. It might be $3 or $4, but you're allowed to just keep constantly refilling that. But if that's not the thing the restaurant's offering, and you're just ordering off the menu and you say, I want an iced tea, it's 1.
It's 1.
That's it.
1 cup. And I mean, if it's a la carte like that, usually the cups are a little bigger than the drink bar size cup. Number 2, I personally really love the convenience stores here. You might not know, but we do have 7-Elevens here, which to a lot of people is very American, but we have them here in Japan.
A big gulp from 7-Eleven
does not exist here.
That's the most American thing you can think of. And you would think that that's definitely not in Japan. But 7-Eleven, the franchise, is indeed here in Japan. Yeah. And they run probably like the biggest convenience store franchise chain in the country. But there are other franchises that run stores as well. Right.
So we also have a Lawson right down the street. And then there's also Family Mart. But I don't think you have either really been into a Family Mart. I think there's one by the train station. And I've run in there to get like a coffee or water. But I haven't really like walked around to explore it yet.
They're all very similar.
They are very similar
in what they're trying to do. But one of the main things that we really like about some things that they feature there is that they're more than just a place like a pit stop while you're on the road, or like
to get a hot dog
and some chips or something like that, like a Slim Jim on the way through like a long commute or a long like family trip or something. Like they actually have some features and functionality there that you generally wouldn't expect. So you can actually pay utility bills through that.
I just did it today, and I'm going to insert a clip right here. We had a water bill we had to pay, and I just took the bill in, they scan it, and you pay the bill right there at 7-Eleven.
Saves having to, you know, pay for any postage or anything, or whatever. So.
Or like going to the water utility office or anything like that.
Pay it there.
Yep.
Or pay any sort of online convenience fee if you have to charge it on a credit card. And a lot of those utility companies, I know, like the one I'm paying for our place back in the States, they still want a convenience fee every time I pay it online, as opposed to mailing in a check. So I mean, there's no fee for this service. So you just come in and you do that. Another thing that they offer is the ability to kind of get your packages delivered to the store. So like, you might think, why would I ever do that? Like, deliver it to my house. Like, that's where I'm going to want to use it. Leave it on the doorstep. And get the hell out of here. That's Home Alone for you.
But here, if you want a package delivered to your house, you can schedule it to be dropped off, you know, between a couple of hour window.
Yeah, sometimes they let you just decide it. And sometimes they don't.
Right.
You know.
And so if you're not here, they will typically leave a slip in your mailbox. And you can, you know, there's a QR code, you can scan it and you can reschedule your delivery for when you're home. But if you don't want the hassle of having to reschedule it a bunch of times and keep missing the mail guy, you can send your package directly to 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson. They all, I'm pretty sure all of them,
I think all of them accept packages.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if we're wrong on that. It's a feature we really haven't used, but it's something we've seen people use. It's odd that they won't just drop the package off. That's something that like an American would have a hard time with initially, depending on where you live. So some people live in a situation where they're like, look, my packages are always getting tampered with or stolen, or whatever. So the idea that you can just send them somewhere for free, there's no fee for this. It's not like you pay some storage locker fee to have this. Again, as long as you come and pick it up in a timely fashion, there's absolutely,
get a month?
Probably like a month. There's no problem. They've got it there. You bring in some sort of slip or tracking number that says, hey, this was my package, and then they come and they give it to you. It's no big deal. So if you've got some issue in the States where your stuff's getting stolen, you might want a feature like this in the States, but in Japan, it's there ready for you if you want to use it. But the caveat to that is, if you want stuff delivered directly to your house, you really need to be there at your house, because if they don't see you there and you don't answer the door, they are not leaving the package at your door. They are taking it back with them.
The food at convenience stores, like, it's not suspect at all. Like, you can trust the quality there. I've never gotten sick. They've got, you know, they've got fish-based things. They have pastas.
But you wouldn't eat that you would not generally eat that at an American 7-Eleven. If they had fish or something, you probably... You see it, it looks weird, you smell it. You're probably going to avoid it in most cases unless you're just really desperate. But here, you know you can trust it. I mean,
sandwiches, salads, like, would you eat a salad from 7-Eleven in the States? Probably not.
They've got some sort of like E. coli thing going on. But like here, you're going to trust it.
So the food there is pretty great. Like, I can just go there and get lunch, and it's filling and it's satisfying and it's awesome. Number 3, which is just in general the food here. Maybe it's because it's new. Maybe
it could be. Maybe the novelty wears off.
Maybe the novelty. Yeah, exactly. But we have found we really haven't had a bad meal in Japan.
Haven't had anything bad here.
Really at all. Like, there was one bowl of ramen I just didn't like, but that was, you know, my problem. He liked it. I just didn't really like it that much. So obviously right off the bat is sushi. Sushi here is so fresh. It's so good. We never ate sushi in the States. Well, raw sushi.
Seafood is something that I don't have any like allergy or any reason I can't eat it, but I've never really liked it throughout my life. And
I have, like, I've always eaten seafood.
And that could be shellfish. It could just be, you know, fish you would catch. I mean, any real seafood at all, I just generally avoided. But coming here and seeing how fresh everything tastes, even raw. I don't even have an aversion to the raw stuff anymore. I'm slowly getting to a point where I can actually eat that stuff. So for anybody who ever were to visit here, even if you don't like seafood generally, I would recommend you try some things anyway, because I think you'll find that the bar has been raised from what you would generally find in America for the same price. Even the raw stuff, I think you'd really like in most situations, as long as it's not terribly crazy from something maybe you've seen before, eaten before. Like, don't go straight from I don't eat seafood to like that dancing squid where you put the soy sauce on the supposed to be dead squid.
Okay, science for you.
Yeah.
It's dead, but it's very newly dead, so that the sodium in the soy sauce activates the neurons in their body and makes them
dance or twitch or whatever you want to call it, and it gives you the illusion that the thing's alive.
Right. But it's not. It's totally dead.
Some people like that. That's very creepy to me.
So do you remember what the first type of fish you tried was? The first type of raw fish? Was it the salmon?
Probably salmon or a tuna.
Oh, tuna, right. Because you had that when you were on a work trip.
Yeah. So I'm starting to eat more and more fish now, and it's
awesome.
I mean,
it's really good.
They're doing it right here. They're surrounded by water. You don't have to go very far to deliver any sushi anywhere.
Right.
So everything you get, that it was caught fairly recently, and it's prepared really well.
Right.
I think that we'll just be eating more and more of that as time goes on.
It's really good.
No dancing squids, please.
No dancing squids
for me.
So the next one I kind of already touched on, for me personally, is the onigiri, which are little rice balls. Sometimes they're kind of in a triangle shape like that. Sometimes they're square, sometimes they're round. But basically the ones that I like is either the one topped with raw salmon, or ones that I really like have things inside of them. So it's like a triangle of rice, and it has, sometimes I'll get chicken or scallop or tuna mayo. I've eaten a couple of times. It's not my favorite. It is the most popular one here in Japan. I've read that statistic.
Speaking of which, maybe something for you guys to research. The mayonnaise here is a little bit different.
Oh yeah, the mayonnaise is awesome.
They have the concept of mayonnaise, but it's prepared slightly different. I'm not going to get into all the differences there, but it's
thicker, it's creamier.
Yeah, it's thicker, creamier. It's something that you generally, I mean, maybe this is just me, or maybe this is like people in general, but I think a lot of people suspect mayonnaise, the longer it sits at room temperature, like the more questionable it becomes in terms of food safety. But this mayonnaise, I find that a lot of times the Japanese will serve it at room temperature. And again, because it doesn't separate so easily, it maintains its consistency. I think generally you're just led to trust it more. But it has a different type of taste.
Right. It's not quite as tangy.
And some people that I've spoken to, friends of mine or coworkers, most of them like it better than American mayonnaise. It's not night and day different. There's a subtle difference to it, but many of them would say, like, if they had to pick one, they're gonna pick the Japanese mayonnaise if they had to, only use one the rest of their life.
Right. So another type of food that I don't know if it's just me, I don't know if you like it too, but for me, I absolutely adore ramen. And I know that's very
ramen's good.
I know that's a very oh, Americans love ramen here.
Ramen is, a lot of people associate ramen, it's like one of the most Japanese foods ever.
Right.
But that's kind of, I mean, the way my perception with it has been, the Japanese like it, but they especially the older crowd, I think they think there's a time and a place for that, and it's kind of, I've never really asked anyone about this or investigated this, but it seems to me it's more like a young people thing.
Or a comfort food.
It's a comfort food that generally is not experienced as much or enjoyed as much by the older population.
Right. It's very fatty. It's usually rendered from pork, so it's usually rendered from pork fat, so it's quite fatty. There's tons and tons of sodium. I'm sorry, Jeter's over here rolling around if you hear a weird noise.
Yeah.
It's very fatty. It's very salty. It's not always very healthy, so I feel like,
there's things in it that are healthy. In the sense, it could be healthy vegetables or whatnot.
The seaweed.
Seaweed. There's going to be some other things though that, when you look at the total nutrition content, it's not the healthiest thing you could eat here, but it's certainly healthier than some other things you probably find in the States.
Right.
For sure. So ramen's. I mean, it's a Chinese derived thing.
Right.
The Japanese have kind of put their own spin on it and done their own thing with it.
Yeah.
So it's not as healthy as your traditional Japanese foods are, but a lot of people still associate it as a main staple of Japanese cuisine. I just think that I think it's a younger generation that enjoys them more often than older folks, just from what I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. And that's not all there is. There's tons of food here. We've also had yakitori, which is basically it's usually some kind of chicken or chicken part on a stick.
They use the whole chicken.
Yeah, they do use the whole chicken. Yakiniku, which is basically grilled meat, grill inside of your table. and you get the raw meat and you cook it yourself. So it's kind of like the melting pot back in the States where you cook your own meat at your table.
Yeah, melting pot's awesome, and that's kind of like what this is. You're cooking your own stuff. That's a yakiniku type of restaurant,
right.
and there's definitely a decent amount in the Tokyo area for sure.
Right. And we've been to a couple, and they're really awesome. So number 4, the cleanliness overall of most public areas. So train stations, bathrooms, sidewalks, the inside of a store, those kinds of things. Like generally, they're very, very clean. You know, in bathrooms, you're not finding paper towels strewn all over the floor or toilet paper strewn all over the floor. With you know, paper towels, they don't really have them here. It's very rare to find paper towels in a bathroom. You will typically find either an air dryer or,
you know, like those things that just
the air blower where you put
like the ones like you put your hands in, you know, and it just tries to blow it like really fast.
Or a lot of Japanese people that I've seen around in the bathrooms. I'm not spying on people, but they will typically wash their hands, and in their bags they will typically have some kind of washcloth. And this is one I actually got from like a Japan crate thing. I think it was Yume Twins or something. But
this was back in the States.
Yeah, back in the States, not here.
So this was not
so like a year ago or
here,
something.
yeah.
But something like this, like a little hand towel that's just, it's small. You can fold it up and stick it in your purse or your bag, and you just have it on the go. So a lot of people will carry towels like this around. Mine just happens to be Totoro, but you know, we have just plain washcloths too that, you know, he's carried them around. I put them in my backpack when we go out to Tokyo. So things like that.
Yeah, people are just generally expected to carry those in lieu of a bathroom providing like a lot of paper towel waste.
Right. The other thing you won't really find here is trash cans, public use trash cans. So if you're out exploring the city, you are expected to bring your trash home with you or wait until you find some kind of trash can.
There's a reason for that. I mean, like, so in 1995, there was, you could do all the research you want on this, but there were gas attacks that used the trash cans as a vector. There's a cult involved. If you feel like researching it, there's even been some developments on that case recently this year. This is back in 1995, and that has culturally shifted the way that Japanese individuals and the government feel about trash cans.
Right.
So you will not find, like you might find in any other American city, you will not find a prevalence of trash cans. Because the question with trash cans is almost sort of like, you know, do they help keep your city cleaner, or do they encourage people to just feel like the street is the type of area where trash can be left? And obviously there's an in-between to that too, where like maybe if a trash can blows over, then there's trash everywhere. So, but I'm just saying, like, here, you might think that the city is going to be dirtier because nobody has anywhere to throw their trash. But actually the opposite effect has occurred. What it's instilled with people is a personal responsibility for their own waste. So if a person is generating any sort of waste, like a bottle that they're done drinking out of, a plastic bottle or chip bag or something like that.
Onigiri wrapper.
Onigiri wrapper, any sort of plastic wrapper. They're generally going to not have the ability to throw it away.
Right.
So they're going to
place it in their bag.
Place it in a bag, any sort of backpack that they've got on them.
Carry it,
or
like,
just carry it if they think they're going to get to a trash can, you know, somewhere else, maybe at their house or whatnot. So actually, people have a personal accountability for their own trash and waste almost always. With only very rare exception do people adhere to this. So despite there not being trash cans around, you actually find that the city that we live in is very clean. It's
very clean. It's great. You know, you drive down the street and there's not like you know, bottles that people just pitch out of their car.
The worst you see is graffiti.
There's a little bit of that.
Sometimes you see a little bit of that, not as bad as in the States, but like you see a little graffiti that for whatever reason they haven't tried to clean up, or maybe they tried and they couldn't get it. But trash is not the thing you're going to generally see.
You might see some cigarette butts every once in a while, but a lot of shops, actually just saw this today, a lot of shops will, before they open, send someone outside to sweep up the sidewalk and like the curb area right in front of their business. So you know, and the streets are just lined with shops and houses, and even like, you know, people will sweep up the curb in front of their home too. So you don't see the trash, even if it's getting pitched out of the car, you might still not see it.
Yeah.
Number 5 is vending machines. And you might think, that's not a new concept. We have those in America, and you'd be right, we do have them, but we have them mostly in, you know, work buildings, or you might find them in like the mall,
school gymnasium or something,
things like that.
Yeah, you find them inside of
certain
buildings.
places.
Yeah.
But here, they're everywhere. They're, you know, we have one right at the top of our shared driveway.
Yeah.
And we
I can walk to it in 20 seconds from my house.
You go out and go a little bit down the street, and there's a Coke machine right there. You go a little further, and there's a Boss coffee machine, which that's a great coffee. You go the other way, and there's a different machine entirely. So
Coca-Cola machine.
Yeah, we've got probably 5 machines within a 3-minute walk of our house, and I'm sure there's more that we haven't found. They're everywhere.
Yeah, typically those machines will be serving drinks,
right?
But you find machines that can serve any sorts of a number of things. But just generally the ones that you're going to find on the streets here are serving drinks, and it could be anywhere from a water to a coffee to a soda, a caffeinated drink, a non-caffeinated soft drink,
green tea.
Green tea.
There's always going to be green tea.
Yeah, and in the wintertime, this is a unique concept that America's definitely not seen.
Yeah, they
is
need
that
to
they'll
get on
actually
that.
serve heated drinks.
Right.
So in the winter,
awesome.
the machine is heating these drinks so that you get something like a hot coffee or a hot chocolate or something. So that way you're walking by and you're just like, man, I'm cold. I could really use like a hot drink.
Right. They're awesome.
You're not going to have to go far to find a machine that's serving them.
And if you haven't seen it already, I did film a hot chocolate video comparing 2 different hot chocolates. So I will link that down below if you want to go watch that. It's very short.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other thing you can sometimes find in vending machines is actually the one at the top of our driveway actually has soup. It has a corn soup and a red bean soup, I think. So you can sometimes get soup. And then at the train station near us, we've also seen, they have one that sells snacks. So sometimes you can find those. Those are a little more few and far between. But they do have snacks in some of them, which is pretty cool too.
Yeah.
The camera's about to die, so we're gonna go ahead and say bye for now. And we hope you like this video. And
thank you for watching my introduction.
Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those down below, as well as also like and subscribe down below. And I'll be back with another video before you know it. Don't know if this guy will be back, but if you guys want him back, go ahead and also like and leave a comment. Yeah. So we'll let the people decide. We'll let the people decide. Sure. So thanks for watching again. Bye.
The most American thing you could do is buy a big gulp from 7-Eleven.
Or yakiniku.
The giblets.
Right.
Your hands will be dry in 10 seconds. Meanwhile, not.
Yeah.